Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Okay, I'm trying to get my donut out. What was that? Was that you singing over there?
I don't call it singing.
I got my Krispy Kreme donut. It's in my. I'm trying to get rid of it, but we're going to close out today's show with a little bit of what we didn't get done earlier, but we're going to talk a little bit right now. Greg Ratliff, our show producer, and on this 16th anniversary, we're going to give away right now a year subscription to the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing News, for which I am the editor, and it's coming up on a year I've been doing this. It just doesn't seem possible. So 274-7979, you're going to get that 12 months subscription to the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing News, based out of Brownsville, Tennessee. And if you get a copy of this month's issue, you can see Gene Smith and myself in there as I'm talking about hunter education and how important it is in this area. But we've got stories from John Sloan. We got stories from Tim Huffman. Alan Houston's written a wonderful story in there about his late dog, Timber. And, you know, all of us have been affected by critters in our lifetime, particularly dogs, and he has written a wonderful story about the adventures of Timber. And he's got some memories of hunting with Timber. But that's in this month's issue of the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing News. Bill Cox is still with us, and he said he wanted to take 20 seconds and that's about what we've got for him.
I didn't say a few minutes ago, but I came by here to tell you how much I appreciate what you do, and I didn't realize in 2001 when you had me on the show that you were brand new.
That's right.
Very professional.
Yes. Well, I was brand new.
And
That's right.
And I appreciate what you do. You bring the message of the TWRA, excuse me, in the outdoors and promoting hunting and fishing and boating and outdoor activities to life around here, and have some interesting guests and great folks on the show with you. And Ronnie and Gene been here a long time, and Dave and the group, and I really appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Bill, and I appreciate the TWRA's involvement. And we try to be the spokesman for all Mid-South outdoors. I don't think there's another outlet that you can go to this and get this.
Not one.
There's not one. And,
nope.
and we try to put that on the website, lroutdoors.com, with all the news releases and up to date as we can with Guy Trebo as our webmaster. And so, you know, if you want to know the latest up-to-date news, you can go to tnwildlife.org for the TWRA, or you can go to lroutdoors.com, and we've got them all in there as far as what's going on, all these releases and everything that's come out. And I think Ronnie and Gene, when we started this 16 years ago, and, you know, we didn't know where we were really going.
Or for how long.
How long.
We really
didn't.
That, yeah.
We didn't. And we didn't know what kind of format, but anybody that knows me, I'm structured, right?
You are structured.
Yes, you are.
I mean, I've got it down.
Almost word for word.
Well, I just try to we're not going to come on here and talk just the three of us for 90 minutes.
No.
And I think it's opened up a lot of avenues for guests like, you know, somebody said, well, why are you talking about an Olympic air rifle shooter from Twin Falls, Idaho? Well, there may be a kid out there that says, well, I'd like to be like Will Brown or something like that, you know. So we've tried to educate at the same time, but we've added, I think, maybe not to everybody, but we try to do it in a humorous factor. We could go take bloopers out of this over the 16 years, particularly when we started trying to get guests. And I'll never forget the guy that kept calling. He was a truck driver, and he said he could talk to fish. Now, that was one of the memories that I have.
Yeah.
He was every Saturday morning he'd call in, and he'd talk to catfish that morning. And I said, well, what did they say? Well, he said it was always something. And then Gene would come in with the Smith of the Week quote. You know, I mean, he would have a joke that livened up the things. And then then people would call and ask Ronnie why they got this ticket from him. That was one of those things because Ronnie was the conscientious.
Yes, he was.
And me and the TWRA go back. A lot of people don't realize that I spent 34 years at the paper, 21 as the prep editor, and I covered the very first high school all-star football game, the very first high school all-star basketball game. I was in locked gyms. I was during the troubled times of the late 60s and early 70s as that. But I had a chance to be over at the Little Red River recently and noticed, Henry Reynolds is, when he passed away in 1995, Henry was, 44 years in that job. And he really taught me a lot about communication. And I don't think you can be anywhere. I've got the gift of gab, my wife says. Now, I haven't been paid for the words, but I'm just talking to you folks out there. There may be 5 of you, and I would like to think there's more than that, but one of them's in the studio now.
But you're
so
doing
way
like
down
a
to
1,000.
4.
now I'm down to 4.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
But it's always been something. So you got a memory, Gene? I
Oh,
mean, I
yeah.
don't mean do you have a memory, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I got it back a while
He
ago.
forgot.
yeah, he forgot it. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I went to the studios downtown when
dungeon.
I was going to a rendezvous, which we dressed like in the 1700s, and I had my mountain man outfit on. Mm-hmm. And Elvis let me borrow his key to go outside the door to come in the other part of the building to get a
Now, tell
Coca-Cola.
him Elvis is not Elvis. The
No,
real
not
Elvis.
Not Elvis Presley, one of our producers.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any change. There was 2 guys recording one of the sports shows, and I said, "Do you have change for $1?" And they saw me, and I told Elvis what happened. He called down there, and he said, "Yeah, there's a white guy down here dressed in some crazy outfit with a great big knife." it was my mountain man outfit, and I had a big knife on my hip.
And you wore it to the studio,
Yeah,
right?
I wore it studio because I had an activity after the show.
Well, you also wore that Indian headdress one time.
Oh, yeah.
in there with the curls and everything.
Yeah, with the plaids
Yeah.
and my skunk skin hat, and Charlie wore his, what do you have, a beaver hat?
He had a beaver hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ronnie, of course, I don't know how we talked you into doing that, but every Saturday we would meet at the gate downtown.
That's right.
And we would go, and what would we always do after we got through the show?
Ate breakfast.
We ate breakfast, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you without knowing what you did.
That's the reason I came to the show.
Free food. Him and
That's
Ron
why he's
Wong.
here today, too.
Yeah.
I don't know how many meals we've eaten over the years, but that's part of it. But communication, I got to know all the coaches when I was a writer there, and I think it's good to know everybody you can, particularly with the TWRA. I try to know who those guys are in the field because a lot of people don't realize, they think, well, they only work just 4 or 5 hours a day.
That's not true. That's where the rubber meets the road.
It is, really.
That's
Yeah.
those guys in the field, where Ronnie was doing, and the guys. That's where the action happens.
And Ronnie, you growing up as your dad being a wildlife officer, that's just you thought that's what you wanted to do,
What I
right?
wanted to do. Yeah, he was in Crockett County,
Uh-huh.
around Alamo for 25 years, and then he worked about 2 years when I got hired. He worked about 2 more years, and then he retired.
He did.
He
Okay.
did. Yeah, we were in the same district back then.
Well, as I remember, you had a chance to go to East Tennessee,
I did.
and then
Johnson City.
Johnson City.
They
You had
didn't
to
know
get
where it was.
You had to get a map.
Yeah, I had to get about where is Johnson City. But no, I wanted to stay close to home, and that was about the right distance. My dad said it was a little too close sometimes.
He did.
Not
huh?
really,
No,
not really.
Not really.
But I enjoyed the career. I did. There's a lot of good people out there. You know, the people that violate are just few in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some good people out in them fields. You check hunting and fishing.
And more people make mistakes than there are really bad people.
That's right. They're not bad people. They just make mistakes. Just like you go in 75 and a 65.
And
That doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you're speeding.
and a wildlife officer, a lot of they are a law enforcement officer. I mean, they're trained just like a policeman or whatever it is.
They have to be now because we've got so much problem in some areas with drugs and that kind of thing. And our guys do more than wildlife. I mean, we had a group go to New Orleans after Katrina.
Yes.
You know, a lot of guys when the Cumberland River flooded. When Gatlinburg burned,
fire.
We got meth labs that they run across in the woods and all that kind of stuff. Our guys are faced with a lot more varied or various problems than the typical police officer is because they're outside, they're outdoors in wildlife, and you know if you'll consider the man that you're or a hunter that you're approaching.
Has a gun. That's right.
And you don't know whether that guy's a
Convicted felon or
what he is. But everybody that you approach out there is armed typically. So it's a those guys do a great job. Ronnie did a great job. The complaint was he'd give his mama a ticket, but I guess if she got too many tickets,
I've heard that before.
Yeah, well,
he would do
that's
it.
probably why his
quit
daddy
fishing
wanted
when
to
I
move.
went to work.
And then a lot of these, you're still required to spend your 2 weeks every year, I guess,
In service.
In service.
Yeah.
I mean, because technology has changed dramatically
Oh,
since
yeah.
you
Yeah.
and
Oh,
you, or even when you were growing up in Collierville.
Larry, it's not just enforcement. The wildlife officers go to schools. They teach kids. They hold seminars. They teach hunter education.
They'll be at the hunting show next weekend. We'll have a booth there.
They do a lot of information and education work.
They have a passion for the outdoors.
When you watch these men and women, they are fantastic people and they love what they do. It's a shame we can't pay them twice the money because they're worth it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I know you do.
That's why they all have two jobs. I mean,
it's a
That's
passion
right.
for them, and for the most part, they do a good job.
Yes.
And they do a wide range of service for the community.
Well, and there's no doubt about it, and that's why I appreciate the TWRA being part of our team here. And thanks, Bill, for dropping by on this 16th anniversary. I told the folks at the station I'm trying to make it to 20. That's my goal. Is make it to 20.
Then it'll be 25.
And then I'll go 25 after that.
Yeah.
Just how long the Lord wants me to keep
No reason
doing
to
them.
stop.
No.
Well, no, there's not.
It's
'Cause
not like it's digging ditches.
I've done that before.
I know.
Worked for my dad.
Yeah.
You know, that was when I was 6'2" and 240. Those days.
Yeah, I was anorexic one time.
At one time.
I got cured.
Yeah. All right. Greg Ratliff, thank you for taking care of us today and working out the technical difficulty. Ronnie Shannon, Gene Smith.
Yes, sir.
Buddy. And again, grab a copy of that August issue of the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing News Magazine and see what. I got a picture of me and Gene in there.
I just renewed my subscription while I was sitting here talking to you.
Did you really?
Yes, sir, on the line.
All right. Did you get the special?
No, I didn't get a special.
Oh, man, I could have got
I'll
you a
have to
special.
call Carlton and talk to him about that.
That name sounds
The
familiar.
Cowboys are back this
All right.
season
All
on
right, let's go. Let's get out of here. The Cowboys are coming in here. This is Larry Ray. Remind you, do each and every week. It doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And God bless the USA.